Prepare yourselves. A crisis is sweeping across the United States, leaving a trail of destruction, heartbreak, and a chilling question. Why is flash flooding getting worse? This isn't just about a few heavy downpours. We're talking about a terrifying new reality, a climate gone rogue, and the shocking truth about how unprepared we truly are. From the historic, child-fatal floods in Texas to the submerged subways of New York City, 2025 has become a grim testament to the escalating threat of flash floods. The numbers are staggering, the stories are heartbreaking, and the future is uncertain. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the heart of America's recent flood crisis. Number 1. Texas's heartbreaking baptism by floodwater, a children's tragedy. The unfolding tragedy in Texas stands as a stark and painful reminder of the human cost of these escalating flood events. The historic floods that saw the state's Guadalupe River climb to near-record levels didn't just inundate homes and businesses. They quickly became one of the country's deadliest disasters for children in recent decades. As of July 9, 2025, the Central Texas floods, stemming from the remnants of Tropical Storm Barry and Hurricane Flossie, had claimed at least 120 lives, with more still unaccounted for. Kerr County was particularly hard hit, accounting for 96 of those fatalities. Tragically, a significant portion of these deaths, particularly in Kerr County, involved campers and staff from summer camps situated in low-lying floodways along the Guadalupe River. The Guadalupe River in Comfort, Texas, rose an astonishing 31 feet in just 90 minutes, and in Kerrville, it surged approximately 26 feet within 45 minutes before dawn, with stream velocity peaking an astounding 177,000 cubic feet per second. These are not just statistics. They represent lives lost, families shattered, and communities forever scarred. The speed and ferocity of the rising waters left little to no time for evacuation, overwhelming early warning systems, and trapping countless individuals, especially those unaware of the localized dangers of the river's floodplains. The fact that warnings disseminated through weather radio and emergency systems failed to reach hundreds of children at summer camps highlights a critical gap in communication and preparedness for transient populations in high-risk areas. Beyond Texas, a chain reaction to disaster. Less than 2 weeks after the death and devastation in Texas, flooding has hit multiple other states, painting a grim picture of a nationwide crisis. Monday, July 14th, saw particularly intense rains, triggering dangerous flash floods along the East Coast that overwhelmed Virginia roads and New York City subways and led New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy to declare a state of emergency. New Mexico's mountain town Mayhem. Wildfires and water don't mix. In New Mexico, the town of Ruidoso experienced unprecedented and historic flooding on July 8th, claiming at least 3 lives, including 2 children, a 4-year-old girl and a 7-year-old boy, and necessitating dozens of swift water rescues. The Rio Ruidoso River swelled to a record-breaking crest of 20.24 feet, significantly surpassing its major flood stage of 15 feet. This disaster was particularly exacerbated by burn scars from recent wildfires, Salt Fork and Salt wildfires the previous year, which strip vegetation and leave the ground unable to absorb rainfall, leading to rapid and devastating runoff. This lethal combination of wildfire aftermath and torrential rain underscores a growing threat in arid and semi-arid regions. North Carolina's double whammy: tropical systems and saturated soils. North Carolina faced a double whammy of flooding events in July. Early in the month, Tropical Storm Chantal, the third named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, brought locally heavy rainfall and flooding to parts of the Piedmont and Sandhills. Moore County declared a state of emergency due to concerns about flooded roads and potential dam failures after receiving as much as 7.45 inches of rain near Pinehurst. The Eno River in Orange County hit its major flood stage, cresting at 23.04 feet, surpassing a nearly 36-year-old record. Just days later, on July 15th, central North Carolina was once again hit by flash floods, causing widespread disruptions, inundating roads, basements, and intersections in cities like Burlington, Mount Airy, and Greensboro. This second wave of flooding was intensified by already saturated soils from Chantal, meaning even moderate rainfall led to significant runoff and increased damage. Sinkholes were reported in Greensboro, and multiple road closures occurred due to downed trees and power lines, highlighting the compounding effects of successive heavy rain events. The tri-state takeover, New York, New Jersey, and Virginia under siege. The northeastern United States, typically less prone to widespread flash flooding of this magnitude, has been severely impacted. On July 14th to 15th, New York, New Jersey, and Virginia experienced significant disruptions. In New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy declared a state of emergency across all 21 counties, urging residents to stay off the roads due to flash flooding, severe thunderstorms, and intense rainfall. In New York City, the heavy rains caused major problems for public transport, with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority reporting subway line suspensions and significant delays due to widespread flooding, including critical routes like the 1, 2, and 3 lines. Videos circulated online showing subway platforms submerged and water pouring into train cars, a stark visual of the urban vulnerability. The city's sewer system, designed for less extreme rainfall, was overwhelmed, with MTA Chair John O'Lieber noting that the system lacks the capacity to deal with rainfall exceeding 1.34 to 1.5 inches. Roads like the Cross Bronx Expressway were completely blocked by water. Meanwhile, in Virginia, flash floods triggered a flash flood emergency for Colonial Heights and Petersburg, as 2 to 3 inches of rain fell in less than 2 hours on July 14th, submerging roads and stranding numerous vehicles across central Virginia, with additional widespread flooding reported in Prince George and Chesterfield counties. While no fatalities were immediately reported in Virginia, the stranded motorists and overwhelmed emergency services underscore the dangers of rapid inundation. The alarming statistics, a rapidly accelerating crisis. The anecdotal evidence of these widespread floods is supported by alarming statistical data. The National Weather Service has issued more than 3,000 flash flood warnings nationwide so far in 2025, marking the highest number on record for this time of year since tracking began in 1986. This is an anomaly. It's part of a disturbing trend. The U.S. billion-dollar Weather and Climate Disasters Database, which tracks the most costly disasters since 1980, ceased operations in May 2025, but prior data reveals a drastic increase. The average number of billion-dollar disasters per year has grown from about 3 events annually during the 1980s to 19 events annually during the last 10 years, 2015 to 2024. The last 2 years, 2023 and 2024, shattered previous records with $28 and $27 billion disasters, respectively. Over the same period, direct costs of these disasters have surged, with average annual costs more than quadrupling from the 1980s, $22 billion per year, to the 2010s, $99.5 billion per year, reaching an average of $149 billion per year during 2020 to 2024, a 50% increase over the 2010s. The average length of time between billion-dollar disasters fell from 82 days during the 1980s to just 19 days during the last 10 years, and a mere 12 days during 2023 and 2024. These figures paint a stark picture. Extreme weather events, particularly those involving flooding, are becoming more frequent, more intense, and vastly more expensive. Why is flash flooding getting worse? The question on everyone's mind is, why? Why are these flash floods becoming so much more severe and widespread? The answer lies in a complex interplay of meteorological, environmental, and anthropogenic factors. 1. The climate change amplifier, warmer air, wetter storms. The most significant overarching factor is climate change. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture. For every 1 degree Celsius, 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit of warming, the atmosphere can hold about 7% more water vapor. This increased moisture content translates directly into potential for more intense rainfall during storm events. When these storms occur, they unleash torrents of water that traditional drainage systems and natural landscapes are simply not equipped to handle. Recent analysis of extreme rainfall events, such as those that caused widespread flooding in the central Mississippi River Valley in April 2025, indicates that human-caused climate change made such events between 2 to 5 times more likely and increased their intensity by 13 to 26%. The higher sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, heated by approximately 1.2 degrees Celsius, 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit, due to human-caused climate change, also contribute to higher evaporation rates, increasing the availability of moisture for storm systems. The remnants of tropical systems like Berry and Flossie, fueled by these warmer waters, retained significant tropical moisture as they moved inland, directly contributing to the devastating Texas floods. The consensus among climate scientists is clear. Climate change is intensifying precipitation events, leading to more frequent and severe flash floods. 2. Urbanization and impervious surfaces, paving the way for disaster. Another critical factor is unchecked urbanization. As cities expand, natural landscapes like forests and grasslands, which absorb rainfall, are replaced by impervious surfaces such as concrete, asphalt, and rooftops. These surfaces prevent water from soaking into ground, leading to increased surface runoff. This rapid runoff overwhelms storm drains, culverts, and natural waterways, turning streets into raging rivers in a matter of minutes. Poor urban planning can create flash flood alleys where water is funneled into vulnerable neighborhoods. The challenges faced by New York City's subway system, where the municipal sewer system lacks capacity to handle heavy rainfall, are a direct consequence of this. 3. Drought and hardened soil, an ironic twist. Paradoxically, periods of extended drought can also exacerbate flash flooding. When soil becomes extremely dry and hardened, it loses its ability to absorb water efficiently. Instead of soaking in, the water runs off the surface, just as it would on concrete. This was a contributing factor in the central Texas floods, where a period of extended drought had hardened much of the soil in the region, accelerating runoff. 4. Changing storm dynamics, slow-moving and stalling systems. Recent flood events have highlighted a trend towards slower-moving or even stalling storm systems. When a storm remains over an area for an extended period, even moderate rainfall can accumulate to dangerous levels. This training effect, where successive rain cells move over the same area, dramatically increases rainfall totals and the risk of flash flooding. The central North Carolina floods on July 15th were attributed to slow-moving storm cells and weak steering currents, allowing intense rainfall to persist over localized areas. 5. Wildfire scars, a naked landscape for runoff. As seen in New Mexico, wildfires leave behind burn scars where vegetation has been destroyed. This denuded landscape is highly susceptible to erosion and rapid runoff. Without plant roots to hold soil in place and absorb water, even relatively light rainfall can trigger devastating flash floods and mudslides, especially in steep or hilly terrain. 6. Aging infrastructure, a ticking time bomb. Much of the United States flood control and drainage infrastructure was built decades ago, designed for historical precipitation patterns that are now being dwarfed by current extremes. Aging stormwater pipes, undersized culverts, and deteriorating levees are simply no match for the volume and intensity of water unleashed by modern-day cloudbursts. The recent failures and overwhelming of systems in states like New Jersey and Virginia highlight this critical need for significant investment in upgrading and modernizing our infrastructure to cope with the new normal. The road ahead, adaptation, resilience, and urgent action. The recent flood crises of 2025 serve as a stark wake-up call. We are no longer dealing with occasional, isolated events. We are facing a systemic shift in weather patterns that demands urgent and comprehensive action. 1. Investing in resilient infrastructure. A fundamental shift is needed in how we design and build our communities. This means investing billions in upgrading stormwater management systems, expanding floodplains, reinforcing levees, and incorporating nature-based solutions like permeable pavements and green infrastructure to absorb runoff. Public transportation systems, like New York City subways, require massive overhauls to withstand increased water ingress. 2. Improving early warning systems and communication. The tragedies in Texas and New Mexico underscore the need for more effective and localized early warning systems. These systems must be capable of reaching all populations, including transient communities, campers, and those in remote areas with clear, actionable information in real time. Integrating technology with local knowledge and community-specific outreach is crucial. 3. Smarter land use and development. We must reevaluate where and how we build. Development in floodplains and vulnerable coastal areas needs to be curtailed, and existing structures in high-risk zones should be prioritized for floodproofing or managed retreat. Urban planning must prioritize green spaces and permeable surfaces to mimic natural drainage.